What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a look at a bunch of Lorcana news. We've got some new cards, and we've got something very exciting happening over at Gamescom. So you should probably start over there. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Disney Lorcana sent out this tweet. This musketeer is headed with us to Gamescom booth 2764. Don't know what that means. What's the name of the booth, but I have no frame of reference is what I mean. To heal his friend and protect fans from any Beagle Boy shenanigans. Stop by our booth to collect yours. They're giving away a Goofy promo if you go to Gamescom. Which leads me to my next point. I'm not going to Gamescom, and this makes me very, very sad. Although I do have some friends who are going to Gamescom who I think one of them can hook me out of a promo. I'm hoping, because I want to go to Gamescom, and if I've got to miss Gamescom, I would at least like to be able to have fun getting a promo as well. Now, Gamescom is happening the 23rd to the 27th of August. And it's happening in Cologne, but if you go on the Gamescom website, it's really not that easy to figure out where it is actually being held. So, yeah. It's a bit awkward, actually, just trying to figure out. And then, obviously, not everybody knows that Cologne and Cologne are the same thing, or that it's in Germany, and they could make it a little easier to figure out where it was actually happening. Unfortunately, it's happening the 23rd to the 27th of August, and as much as I would love to be going to Gamescom this year, that's like, what, less than 2 weeks after I get back from Japan? No. I'm not going to Gamescom, ladies and gentlemen. Too far. Too awkward, would love to go, ain't happening. But if you do go along, you get yourself this Goofy promo. Now, that of course then leads to the question, which I think everybody had, it's a very important question. Well, what am I supposed to do if I can't go to Gamescom? How am I supposed to get this Goofy if I don't go to Gamescom? And of course, that question was asked straight away in response to the tweet sent out by Lorcana. Tyler Broughton asked, is this card going to be exclusive to the event? And Disney Lorcana said the Gamescom 2023 logo version will be unique to the event, but you can find the standard version in the first chapter. The first chapter, of course, being the name of the first booster expansion. So now we're cool, ladies and gentlemen. We are cool. You will notice, and it's actually quite subtle if I'm not missing anything here, but there isn't some kind of like big stamp over the card like there are for some games. We've got 2023 event and the Gamescom logo at the bottom in the middle, but the regular version is just going to be in the set. So yeah, I know some people like myself really want this card and can't go. Don't worry about it. It is just going to be available in the first chapter. I know you want the Gamescom version. I want the Gamescom version, but it's not the end of the world. Now, as for the card, it is a 5-cost card, 3 strength, 6 willpower, 1 lore when he goes on, I want to say quests? Yeah, quests. Still getting used to the terminology here. 1 lore when you go on quests, and you've got the key skill Bodyguard. This character may enter play exerted. An opposing character who challenges one of your characters must choose one with Bodyguard if able. Cool. You've got 6 willpower, which is fairly high, and you can basically just make sure that you're staying on the board for a little bit, or that your other characters are. You're essentially coming along and, well, looking after them, which is good. Now, remember, the exerted is actually very, very important, because you can only challenge an exerted character. You can't challenge a ready character, so having a character in play with Bodyguard that wasn't exhausted wouldn't really matter, or exerted. So that's why you can enter play exerted, so you can then basically be challenged as a bodyguard. You've then got the skill and 2 for T. When you play this character, you may remove up to 2 damage from each of your musketeer characters. Cool. Basically, they're trying to make a musketeer deck here. They're trying to make it so you can use all your musketeers and use them together and have lots of fun. And yeah, that sounds all right to me, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds all right to me. This seems like a pretty decent card, I'm going to be honest with you, because high willpower and bodyguard, and when you play, you can remove damage from each, and it is each of your musketeer characters, not just one. So I think overall, this seems like a pretty good card. I personally just think that the way Lorcana are doing this is, or the way Ravensburger are doing this is fantastic. I love having an event card. Having a card that you can go along and pick up at an event, I think is great. I think it gives a reason to go to the event and learn about the game. I think having a reward for going to the event is really fun. I love this. I'm a huge fan of it. I do not really like exclusive event cards, especially if they end up being good, because that creates these really expensive cards that I don't think is a good thing, and I think it honestly just becomes a little bit of a pain. So having an event card with an exclusive stamp or rarity symbol or something exclusive, but you can still get the regular version just in the set proper, I think is wonderful. I think it is a fantastic way around doing it. Could not be more in favour of this. Of course, one of the most egregious examples we saw of this was Cliffjumper Renegade. This was a Comic-Con promo from the early days of the Transformers TCG, which was only available in a Comic-Con pack, and was a very good playable character. Transformers, you basically built your deck based around characters up to a certain star value. So, like leaders in a bunch of games, but you would potentially have many of them. Well, you'd always have more than one. But you usually have more than one. But you'd have a bunch of them. And having this one as an event exclusive just drove the price up ridiculously. And then it might have been the first big tournament was won with a deck playing Cliffjumper. It was a bit of a problem. They eventually reprinted it in a really premium set with different artwork. But that was a bad thing at the beginning of the game. I love the way they're doing it here. But there were some other cards that have been revealed, including the really unexciting Sven. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I should say here, shout out to Todd Martins over on Twitter who did share this image of Sven. It's a 6 cost, and then we're sitting there rocking with 7 willpower, which I will admit 7 willpower is very, very high. All right, I've admitted that. That's fine. And then 5 strength. Like, the stats are pretty high, as you would expect, but you're talking about a vanilla card here, and it's 6 cost, which isn't exactly cheap, so, I don't know, maybe when we start playing the game, these stats become super relevant. I'm not convinced at the outset. Love the art on Sven, not convinced. Now, The Gamer have gone and showed us Rapunzel, and Rapunzel I like a lot more. It's actually a 6 cost, same as Sven, but I like it way more than Sven. 5 strength, 4 willpower, 6 cost, although very important to note this cannot be put into your inkwell at the start of your turn. It's not got that little swirl around it, so it can't go into your inkwell. And this is an important consideration, right? Because you want to be putting a card in your inkwell every turn to have the most resources to play the most cards as you go through the game, right? So if you're playing too many cards that can't be put in your inkwell, that is going to mean you're going to hit some turns where you're not able to put a card into your inkwell, and that is going to be a problem. You have been warned. But firstly, when you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. Brilliant, because lore's how you win the game, right? So this takes your opponent further from winning the game. And secondly, you get 2 lore when you quest rather than 1, which you see on a lot of characters. And yeah, again, we're too early. We've not seen the whole set. We've not been playtesting with the whole set. And I cannot stress this enough, right? At the moment, I know we all have ideas of which cards are good and which cards are bad, but until we have the whole set and we really start sitting down and playing with the whole set, we're not going to know what exactly is good and what isn't. And even then, after only 1 set, we don't have great information. Things are going to change as we go, right? So just bear that in mind, okay? Even cards we think are good now could end up being terrible, and cards we think are terrible could end up being good. You have been warned. But I do really like the look of this card. As a side note, and I love that it's called Tangle, incidentally, this skill. It says each opponent loses 1 lore. I know that Lorcana is generally a 2-player game, but I love that they're leaving the cards open for more. And we have heard they are considering that down the line. And then we got another Stitch card, Carefree Surfer. 7 cost, that is expensive. 4 strength, that seems kind of low for a 7 cost. 8 willpower, that seems very high. Again, we've got 2 lore when you quest, which is lovely. And Ahana, when you play this character, if you have 2 or more other characters in play, you may draw 2 cards. Side note, of course, if you have a look at the rarity symbol here, this is a legendary card. So, yeah. We do kind of... The others I showed you are uncommon, I should say. So, Legendary is like the highest level of card, right? So, of course, we are expecting this to be a very good card. And this does seem to be a very good card. So, yeah. This seems really good. Like, it's Legendary, it's an 8 cost. All the things are there that would suggest it's going to be a really good card, alright? But still, ladies and gentlemen, 2 lore when you quest... Drawing 2 cards when you play it, 8 willpower. I mean, I'm liking a lot about this. And while we're here, I've got to go back just super quickly. One of the very first promos we saw was Stitch Rockstar. I don't think I realised quite how ridiculous this was when we first saw the card, because we didn't even know the rules at that point. But it's a 6 cost, 3 strength, 5 willpower. You get 3 lore when you quest. And whenever you play a character of a cost of 2 or less, you may exhaust it to draw or exert it to draw a card. It turns all of your really low-cost characters into draw engines while getting free lore when you quest. Stitch Rockstar looks absolutely ridiculous. I know that's not one of the cards we're talking about here, but I was just having a look back through the promos the other day, and I'm like, holy moly, that Stitch looks good. Also, we've seen a few Stitch now. Someone's making a Stitch deck. And I think they're going to have fun. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know if you're going to Gamescom. I want to know what you think about this goofy promo. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Lorcana and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.